All right, let's talk about one of the most beloved stories ever told. It doesn't start in some magical kingdom, but in one of the most brutal places on Earth. And what's really fascinating is that this setting comes from the author's own brush with death. So, picture this. Our narrator, a pilot, has crashed his plane. He is hundreds of miles from anywhere, completely alone. And this isn't just fiction. See, the author, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, actually crashed in the Libyan desert back in 1935 and nearly died of dehydration. So for our narrator, the stakes are incredibly high. It's a race against time to fix his plane and just survive. And then, one morning at dawn, out of absolutely nowhere, he hears this tiny, serious voice. He's not hallucinating. It's a little boy asking for the most impossible thing you could imagine in that situation. And this one request just completely shatters the pilot's grim reality. And that's how they meet, the pilot and the little prince, a little boy with golden hair who claims he's from a tiny planet called asteroid B612. And you know what? He is not going to let this sheep thing go. The pilot is not an artist. It's been a sore spot for him since he was a kid. So after a few failed attempts at drawing a sheep, he gets frustrated and just draws a box. The sheep you want, he says, is inside. And you know what? The little boy's face completely lights up. It's perfect. Exactly what he wanted. So this begs the question, right? Why would a little prince leave his home? Especially a home that's barely bigger than a house? Well, as it turns out, it was all a matter of the heart. It all comes down to a flower. A single, beautiful, but very proud rose. He loved her more than anything, but her vanity, her confusing words, they just made him miserable. He was so young, he felt like he just didn't know how to love her the right way. So he left. So, hoping to figure things out, he starts planet hopping. But every planet he visits has just one single adult on it, and each one is completely lost in their own bizarre, nonsensical world. It's like a tour of the strangest things grown-ups do. He meets a king who thinks he rules the universe, but has nobody to rule. He meets a businessman who does nothing but count the stars, claiming he owns them, but never actually looks at them. And then there's the lamplighter, stuck on a planet that spins once a minute, forced to light and put out his lamp over and over with no rest. But you know, out of all these self-obsessed adults, there's one person the prince actually respects: the lamplighter. His job seems totally absurd, right? But the prince sees something different. He's the only one whose work is for something or someone other than himself. His journey finally brings him to the 7th planet, Earth, and it's huge, and it feels pretty lonely at first. But this is where he's going to learn the most important lessons of his entire journey. At first, though, Earth is just heartbreaking. He finds a garden with 5,000 roses. 5,000! And his flower, his special flower, had told him she was the only one of her kind in the whole universe. He feels so deceived, he just lies down in the grass and cries. And right there, at his lowest point, a fox appears. But the fox won't play with him. Not yet. He tells the prince that first he has to be tamed. And this idea, this one word, is where the whole secret of the story really unfolds. So what does it mean to tame something? Well, the fox explains it perfectly. It's all about creating bonds. Right now, the fox is just like thousands of other foxes. But if the prince tames him, they'll become special to each other. They'll need each other. They'll be totally unique in the entire world. And this leads to what might be the most famous and beautiful message in the whole book. The fox tells him that the truly important things, like love and friendship, you can't see them with your eyes. You can only feel them with your heart. So here's the real breakthrough for the little prince. It was the time he spent watering his rose, putting a screen up for her, listening to her complain. That's what made her so special. Those other 5,000 roses in the garden, they mean nothing to him because she is his rose. He tamed her. And with that understanding, everything clicks into place. He knows he has to go back. He's responsible for his flower. And he really, really misses her. Okay, so let's jump back to the pilot. By now, their water is completely gone. Things are looking grim. But the little prince, who is now seeing with his heart, leads him straight to a hidden well in the middle of the desert. And the water, the pilot says, wasn't just water. It was good for the heart, like a gift. A year has passed since the prince arrived on Earth. He knows his body is just too heavy to travel back to his star. So he makes this mysterious and very sad arrangement with a poisonous snake. He needs to leave his physical shell behind to go home. The pilot is, of course, completely heartbroken, but the prince comforts him. He tells him not to be sad. He says that because he'll be living on one of those stars and he'll be laughing, that for the pilot, it'll sound like all the stars in the sky are laughing. It's his last beautiful gift. And then, with a flash of yellow at his ankle, the little prince just falls. He falls as gently as a tree, without a sound. And by the next morning, his body is gone. We jump forward 6 years. The pilot fixed his plane. He made it home, back to the world of grown-ups. But he never, not for a single day, forgets his little friend. And he finds comfort in looking up at the sky, hearing those laughing stars. He knows the prince is back home, taking care of his rose. But there's one little detail from their time together that still bothers him. It haunts him. Remember the muzzle he drew for the sheep, the one that was meant to keep the rose safe? Well, he forgot a tiny but crucial part. He forgot to draw the leather strap, which means the muzzle can never actually be fastened. And so, the story leaves us right there, with the pilot asking this enormous, bittersweet question that changes how you see everything. For him, the entire meaning of the universe hangs on the answer. And every time we look up at the stars, we're left to wonder about it too.